It finished 3-2 in the North London derby. We're outside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Ange Postecoglou had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. Where did it all go wrong?
I think the set pieces, the set plays. I think it's been killing us all season. Everton, Man City, Wolves. There's countless games I can count this season where we've just been undone by set pieces, and I think that's something that the manager needs to address big time, in not just next season but even in the games we have left. We need to do something different, right? We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, and it's hurting us, and we just don't change. In the first half, the goals we gave away, like the first goal, I mean, that's pathetic from Højbjerg. Like, okay, fine, you can say...
You say Vicario as well, because Ben White completely takes Vicario out of the game, and it's pretty much, he's got a quarter of a net for a ball to try and go in there if it comes off an Arsenal player or if it comes off someone like Højbjerg, which it did.
Yeah, I think it's definitely things to work on. The goalkeeper needs to be stronger, but I also think the defence needs to give the goalkeeper more protection. And I think as a team, we just need to be better in the defensive phases. I think there's a lot of mistakes that we make in open play in our defensive structure, and there's a lot of mistakes we make on set pieces. We can't be leaving guys with free headers. We saw it against Everton, Braithwaite, like clear header, free, no one next to him to score. Today, Kai Havertz for the third goal, free header. It literally, that goal was in front of me. It felt like we were statues in our own box. Kai Havertz is the only one jumping, trying to attempt that header. And I think we need to find a balance between zonal and man marking, because I'm all for trying to identify the zones in which the opposition can hurt you, but ultimately you can't leave a threat on aerial set pieces free. You can't leave them vacant. And Kai Havertz, he won't score an easier goal this season. Like, it's so easy. All he literally needed to do was just jump and connect with the ball, and it's a goal.
Are you quite underwhelmed? What is it, like, 7 points off Aston Villa now for the top 4? When you look back on this and you think about it and you go home tonight, will you be like, it's a real missed opportunity, there's potential that you won't be playing Champions League football next season?
Yeah, it's disappointing. It's absolutely disappointing, because for me, my expectations changed back in December. I wanted Champions League football, and I stick by it. If we don't get top 4 this season, I think we should be disappointed. But I don't think it's the end of the world. I really don't. I think you can even see, even in today, even with our frailties defensively, you could still see that there's a team that's got quality. There's a team that's got fight. There's a team that's got the minerals of a good side. I just think there are still changes that we need to make on the pitch, and I think there are changes that the manager needs to make in terms of his setup to get us from this level to this level. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom. Yes, it's disappointing, but bigger picture, we're still going to be in European competition next season, and we've still been a relatively good side this season.
Final question for me. There was a few disgruntled Spurs fans that I was speaking to on the way out of the ground. They were criticising Heung-min's son a little bit. Do you feel like he's adding enough? Obviously, he lost those 30 goals from Harry Kane with him joined Bayern Munich. Do you feel like Son is really adding enough to this Spurs team?
Yes, I think he's been brilliant. I don't buy the notion that Son hasn't added enough. I think he's led by example as our captain this season. He's got, 15 league goals. He's got 8 assists. Listen, Son is getting on. He's at the tail end of his career. He's not at the start of his career. So he's going to be 32 years old this year. We know his limitations. Son can't play as a touchline winger anymore. Son hasn't got the footwork to try and beat his man here and there, but Son has been brilliant for Spurs this season. He's stepped up in plenty of games. We're talking about Son this season being a disappointment. Are we not forgetting that this was the same Son that banged in 2 goals at the Emirates, that banged at the Etihad, that banged against Liverpool at home, right? Like, the Son has scored big goals for Tottenham this season. So I'm not really buying this notion that he's been disappointing this season. What I will say is this: I think his form in the last 4 or 5 games has been disappointing. I think it's been poor, and it's not on. I think a player of that calibre, there's a certain level that you should not drop below, and I think Son has dropped below the levels that we expect over the last 4 or 5 games. But on the season as a whole,
is the 20-year drought coming to an end after what you saw today?
More to do with Manchester City than what Arsenal were going to do. I really believe that Arsenal will go on and win their next 3 games. I mean, after today's performance, people have been criticising Arsenal for the way that they played, but I think they played exactly to the occasion. You look at the way Spurs play, they're a possession-based team. They have an average of 62% possession, and Arsenal today gave them 62%, bang on. Arsenal have the ability to play in many, many different ways. But, as again, today I think had everything to do with the way Spurs play. I mean, this ANGE guy, they say he's a good manager. He was manager of Celtic, but it looked today that he'd set himself up against St Mirren
He had 2 weeks to prepare as well.
Yeah, he's done nothing. I don't know, if they've been on the beach for 2 weeks, but all he knows is one way of football, which is entertaining. But unfortunately for them, it's more entertaining for the opposition, because I don't get a lot of pleasure seeing Saka sort of double, tripled up against every game. I want to see free-flowing football when we attack, and we saw that today. But what we also saw was a team that is incapable of nullifying the opposition in Spurs. So I'm happy. I'm absolutely happy. But thank you, Tottenham.
How big is the divide? Is it increased now, the battle for North London? I mean, have Arsenal just proven that North London is actually red?
Well, I think it was the 1950s. My father was taken by his father to Arsenal, and my grandfather had no real affiliation. I think he just flicked a coin and said, "Right, I'll take my dad to Arsenal this week." And from then on, obviously, it went down the line. I became an Arsenal fan, and I just thank the gods that landed on heads, not tails, because I'd have had to endure this kind of lack of success, absolute lack of success for a lifetime. I mean, some of the things, I had a look on the Spurs website before I came here to see some of their honours, and on the Spurs website it quotes I think it's the Ipswich Memorial Hospital Cup runners-up 1951-52. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. That is what I'd have had to endure if my grandfather had taken my dad to Tottenham, not Arsenal. So, we talk about the gap, expanding. The gap's been there since I was like a little boy. It really has, and it just gets bigger and bigger and funnier and funnier. I mean, their stadium's great, but that's about it. The trophy room's the best part of it.
We saw it at full time as well. Declan Rice, top off, everyone running towards the away. And it sort of gave me a bit of nostalgia from when Arsenal won the title at Spurs 20 years ago. Are they going to be fired up to do this now? And after sort of those celebrations, everyone says celebration police all over the season as well. Is now the time that they need to prove everyone wrong and need to go and lift the title?
No. Because they're a team with an upward trajectory, and if we don't win it this year, I'm pretty confident we're setting ourselves up with a young team, with a manager that's going to stick around, with the contracts that they've got. They keep renewing contracts years and years before they need to. We've got stability, and we are on that upward trajectory. Now, the other part of it is the team that's closest to us is Manchester City. Now, there's certain 115 charges hanging over them, which, of course, none of us want to see them relegated or anything too draconian. I'd like to see them expanded, obviously, and disbanded. That's the end of them. But the team is going upwards, and the opposition is on its way down. So I see that, OK, we're going to come close. Whichever way this goes, it is going to be close. But we are setting ourselves up for, I would say, success in the long term. This isn't just a flash in the pan.
All pumps on necks, and I'm relieved that we got the 3 points. I'm relieved that we've won this North London derby. It's 4 points against Tottenham, bragging rights. But the reality is, we've got to be careful in situations like this. Being 3-4-0 up and giving the teams 2 goals early in the second half, that could lead to being a long 20-odd minutes, and we don't want that. If we're going to win the title, we've got to do our job and let faith take control of what Man City are up to.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.